future of this country for the next 4 years. This board, in English, will give us the opportunity to listen to 3 specialists that will offer their views on a process that will involve not only the United States of America, but will also influence politics all over the world. Leticia Sánchez de Pablo, Ismael Medel, López Medel, and Antonio Ramos will accompany us today and give us their views on the subject. Unfortunately, we can only offer them half an hour to express their impressions, so let us start as soon as possible. First, let me introduce Leticia Sánchez de Pablo. She is an expert in emotional public speaking for leaders. She graduated in advertising from CENP, then she did a postgraduate in marketing management at ICEX TECO. She is also an expert in community management and marketing and CEO by Fundación UNED. She has been the Executive Regional Secretary of Internal Communication of the Popular Party in Spain for 9 years and has also worked as the Institutional Communication Director for the City Council of Manzanares. Her expertise in this field, together with her knowledge of marketing and communication, make her a specialist in political campaigns design, institutional communication, and preparation of candidates. Her talk today is entitled The Design of Campaigns and Election of the Topics of the Electoral Agendas, Their Impact on Voters. Good afternoon, Leticia.
Good afternoon, Maribel. Nice to meet you and nice to be here. I want to thank to CEU San Pablo and American Club for this invitation.
Okay. You may
I can start. First, I want to explain from inside how we built an electoral campaign. Because if we understand how we built it, we'll understand why, where, when, and what. So let's start. I'm trying to share my screen right now. Is it? And this is campaign design. An electoral campaign is a big house where we are living. And like in a house, there are rooms with different tasks, duties, or purpose rooms. All of them are important, and all of them are part of this house. But how do we design an electoral campaign? Have you seen this picture, the team? Maribel, I don't know if you are watching this. Okay, I continue. The team.
You can see your presentation, yes.
Okay, perfect. Before I couldn't see. Okay, thanks. The team, a crew or people?
Perdona.
Sorry?
Un momento, es que se cayó Edu Roam, la conexión que teníamos, y lo hemos enlazado por otro sistema. Un momento. Todavía no he empezado el seminario, ¿vale? Todavía no estamos en vivo, un momentito. Vale. Aquí ya lo tienes, mira, mira, sí, pero ¿lo tienes en YouTube? Sí. ¿Ahora ya sí? Vale. Ahora ya comienza en vivo, ¿vale? Es que se había caído la conexión de Durroam.
Okay, I was talking about a design campaign is a big house and we are living in. So inside there are a team, a crew of people who live in. We look for technical profiles for our team. We need people with an objective point of view. Within the team, there are 2 aspects, people who work for inside and people who work for outside. Inside, they choose and train proxies and controllers, people who will be at the Electoral College on the election day. If you want to know something about election day, you have to be in a table the election day. They manage people inside too, they manage the budget. the fees and economic resource, gathering money in, and so on. They design and plan the program. They care about the legal part of the campaign, very important. And now we've got people who work for outside. They are aware of service, learning from them every day. They plan a timeline where they go, where they don't go. They write speeches and arguments. They program digital communication and social media. They have a close relationship with the mass media. So we need two profiles of boss for this work. One is the press officer, and the other one is the campaign manager. And now that we've got our team, our people, let's get into our property. We are under the Porsche, objectives and target. We have to know where we are and where we want to go. These are our objectives. Who are we going to talk to? The result is our target. Do you know Alice in Wonderland? When she meets the cat and asks it, "Do you know the way I have to go?" And the cat answers, "It depends on where you want to go." Alice insists, "I don't care." The cat sentence, "Then it doesn't matter." This is the most important question you have to do. Where do we want to go? When you feel lost, back to ask yourself this question, because this question is your lighthouse. So define objectives and target audience. Choose smart objectives. Our objective is to win. It's not specific. We need 5,000 votes to win. This is specific. This is what we need. We need our objectives may be measurable too. If we can count them, we can know if we are right or we are wrong. 5,000 votes, like I said before, we can count on them. We can prove if we are near or far to get it. Achievable, we need realistic objectives. Dream about getting 100% of votes. It's not real. It's just a dream. Relevant, something important, not just a mean. We have to be proactive. We need to take it to the end. And timely, hurry up. We have limit time. We don't have all the time in the world. Set temporary goals on time. Your objectives won't be always the same. What do you want to get? Perhaps you want to win, or perhaps you only want to introduce your political party in a concrete institution. So please define your audience. Who is your audience? Where is your target? Where do they work? How do you talk about them? And what do they expect from us? I know you realize, but do you think anybody is asking himself this question in any country? We are about to open the door and enter the house. Check that there is soil floor. Look at this flooring, or write a SWOT. It lays the groundwork to know the real characteristics of every candidate, one by one. So it's a fantastic and essential developer of your work. What is a SWOT? It's a matrix that is the base of a marketing plan. SWOT is the acronym of strength, weakness, opportunities, and threatness. We call it DAFO or FODA in Spanish. Working SWOT. Sketch across on a paper in such a way you've got 4 parts. Up to the left, make a list about candidate strengths. Up to the right, list candidate weakness. These are particular positive strength and particular negative weakness. Down to the left, list opportunities. These are general and positive, like win the election. Down to the right, threatness. These are general and negative, like losing the election. Put in common strength and threatness. Draw a diagonal line that crosses both. Many of them are compatible premises. Here you are your strategies. Do the same with weakness and opportunities. The list is full of complementary sentences. Here you are your tactics. Now, we are ready to get into the house, and the first room inside is the kitchen. The kitchen or current situation. We want to know people problems. We want to know their opinion and how do they perceive us. So, what are we cooking in the kitchen? Data analysis, competition analysis, daily analysis of public opinion, polls and inquiry analyze. It's important to know that in a small campaign, it's not this case, but maybe in a local or in a county, we don't have much money to have a big kitchen. So we are cooking in a kitchenette. What kind of data are we handling in a small campaign? Information about previous elections, if it's possible, one by one, all the table elections, social and demographic data at the CIS data or similar. Now we know all important data. Okay, go to the bathroom. Bathroom or candidate image. Building candidates. Inside a candidate, there are three aspects for building their image. The first one is physical appearance. If he or she is tall, slim, pretty, handsome, old, ugly, all of these characteristics can change. They can get better. They can upgrade. The second one is gestuality. It can go unnoticed, but people perceive it and can leave a good or bad sensation like a perfume. The third one, oh my God, that's essential to persuade. Way of being. There are 3 H that are the most important: humility, honesty, and sense of humor. I'll tell you 2+: experience and credibility. When you have studied all these tools, SWOT could come back to point number 3 and make a SWOT with this. While you are doing, we're going to another room, the bedroom. Bedroom or building a story, speeches, and political debate. Just one word: emotion. I've got one expression for creating a story. My expression is open-heartedly empathy. But it's not enough. You need slogans, several messages, depending on who you are talking to. They must be in harmony with your campaign and with your candidate way of being. We all are creating new slogans every day. Do you know these slogans? They are hashtags at Twitter. And my question is, do you think Twitter has come to political parties or political parties has come to Twitter? In any case, the message must be in consonance with the candidate characteristics. Do you imagine, for example, Joe Biden not rambling or singing a rap? Neither do I. Candidate is a human person. Sometimes they can do unexpected things because they feel comfortable, or contrary, they feel angry before the speech, for example. Above all, they have to be professional. They must be professional. I was at an event with an angry politician. He took the microphone and said, "I've got 2 speeches for tonight. The first one is short and the other one is long. I will say both." People who were confused started to whisper. Shh, shh, shh. Finally, he said, "The short one. Thank you." the long one. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And he left the room. It was very confusing for all of us. It was not very professional. The question is, are you ready for this situation? To be ready, back to the kitchen, point number 4. Analyze and evaluate all their appearance in mass media, in social media, or in other events. And now we relax at the living room. Living room or social media plan and mass media. Do you know where your audience is? Back to Porsche, point number 2. It started to seem the goose game. Okay, anyway, you will know where to find people who are voting for your candidate. After analyzing your audience, your target, you will know how to talk to them. You will know how to talk to them for speaking their language. You will know in which media to insert advertising, and you will know you need 2 kinds of campaigns, one online and offline. Online is social media and the internet plan, social networks, adverts, Facebook ads, Google ads, and so on. Keyword research analyze the best themes of keywords. There are webs to help you to find them. And so the public is one of the more popular. Social media posts, search engine optimization, SEO, search engine marketing, SEM. Offline means the same as always, advertising on TV, interviews in newspapers and radio, posters gluing. And now let's go to the dressing room. Dressing room or timeline. Mark in your calendar several and important dates. At the same time, you will write down where and how to speak about a few important themes, your timing. And of course, mark the election day. And don't be afraid in a crisis. There are more days to remark. For example, when is the maximum time to get the budget? When is the maximum time to print posters? Or where's the maximum time to official pictures? Write all of them in a big calendar where the whole team can see all the dates. My trick, I always start at the bottom of my calendar, marking election date, and from then I go back. You know more dates in your calendar. They are subject to electoral regulations. The day you present the electoral candidacy, the day you present your program, or the day you present your central rally, your essential meeting, and the reflection day in Spain, for example. After that, other events will pop up, like TV interviews or political debates. Write down too. And now we are afraid in a crisis management, your backyard. Study all the possibilities before a crisis comes. Report your candidate values continuously. Study and analyze. If you know your candidate in depth, you will know how to act in a crisis. When a crisis comes, you must drop everything and take care of it. The time runs against you. It's important and urgent to deal with it immediately. Analyze debt. Design a new swap for this if it's necessary. Take the initiative and explain all in person, not with a press release. Be humble, be collaborative, be transparent, offer commitment and solutions, and please answer the questions. If it was necessary, have a deep web ready to publish. It's a frequently questioned web. We have finished our house, but we don't have the key. The key are the issues or topics. Who are electing our topics? It seems obvious. They try to talk about comfortable topics for them or for their political party. But this is not always like this. There are 3 guidelines. First line is directed by their political party. obvious. The second line depends on the topicality or the social or demographic influence on where the electoral campaign takes place. For example, if they are in New York or Washington, they talk about security. If they are in El Paso, maybe they talk about immigration. The third line is contingence. They must be newness. The candidate must be up to date with everything. Above all, breaking news. Now, we have the house. We have the key. Let's open the door for an impact. Impact of campaigns in voters. I think there are two ways to go on this road, one positive and one negative. First, positive impact. Micro-segmentation is a reality. Thank you to the internet and social media that is allowing customs campaigns, a powerful tool for working and sending our success stories through WhatsApp or Telegram and keep us close to our supporters and voters. Geomarketing. Nowadays, technology can put focus in a small group of population through geomarketing. So you can speak to smaller groups and send a more personal message. On the other hand, we have detected negative impact, like bots, fake profiles in social networks that retweet automatically and hurt political parties. Usually, they are machines run by a computer scientist. Now, a new figure has appeared called semi-bots, persons very, very involved in politics, able to retweet 300 times per hour. Incredible, they don't have anything better to do. Fake news, hoaxes that go viral and damage informative reality. Look at Twitter and Facebook near an electoral date like this, and you know what I mean. We have a sector of the population affected by this same, older people. The consequence, many times old people feel injured because they believe fake news. They don't understand many of the message that people are posting. They don't read the content of the news. They don't know where the news come from. They don't make out between real and fake news, real news and fake news. And that's a deep problem that can discourage many, many voters. The silent vote is other consequence. People are fed up of social networks, fed up of information, fed up of politicians, and many of them don't say what they vote to. Don't confuse the fed up people with undecided that can change the results of a vote. At this time, the vote is decided, but it's hidden. And these are my conclusions about this. The campaign is a big house with purpose rooms and we live in. Smart objectives, never, never, never lose them. Find your way through objectives like a lighthouse light the sea. The sense is the key sense of humor and common sense. My last recommendation, move people with your speech, thrill them. They will remember how they felt. And I think that's all. I won't invite you to table number 1. I'll be there in half an hour at 5 o'clock speaking about vote intention and voters. I hope I have offered a new and interesting point of view. Thank you to CEU alumni and thank you to American Club for your invitation at this American Week. I'll just tell you 2 more speeches, one short and one long. The short one, thank you. The long one, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Leticia. It has been a very interesting explanation, a metaphorical explanation with the idea of a house, of how a structure of an electoral campaign is built up. No, so thank you, Leticia Sanchez de Pablo, for your interesting speech. And now in the second place, Ismael Lopez Medel, PH, Associate Professor and Director of the Public Relations Program at the College of the Arts at Azusa Pacific University in the United States. Ismael Lopez Medel is a PhD doctor by Universidad CEU San Pablo, where he became Associate Dean of the School of Communication. And my colleague, he currently serves as an Associate Professor in the Communication Studies Department at Azusa Pacific University in Los Angeles, California. He has been a researcher at the National College of Art and Design in Dublin and guest speaker in universities in the United States and Europe. His research has been published internationally. He's also a member of the leading research associations in communication, the American Academy of Advertising, the International Advertising Association, the European Communication Research Association, and the Spanish Association for Communication Research. Today, his speech will be focused in political communication in the framework of an electoral campaign. Good afternoon, Ismael.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back home. CEU San Pablo is my home university. It's been some time since I moved to the United States, but it's really great to see familiar faces, and congratulations on this great American Week event. I would like to share my screen to show you a little bit of insight on what does the campaign look like from the inside, from California in my case. So I wanted to do something quick and to the point and run you through a number of key issues for this particular campaign. First of all, the American mentality that you need to remember when you look at the political elections in the United States, which is not always reflected in Europe as with all the complexity of such a big and complicated nation in a sense. Then I want to run you through quickly the electoral system in the US, because it's crucial to understand how the campaign works. Then I'll mention a little bit of the role of technology, and especially in the idea of the flipped candidate and the flipped voter. And then I will review the brand values of both candidates, the tone, their key messages, their shared symbolism, and I want to end with a little bit of hope for these troubled times of, for political elections, with a different campaign that is taking place in the state of Utah. So let me start by making this big bold statement. Political marketing is no different than any other sort of marketing in the US. This is important because they do things that we as Europeans, as a Spaniard in my case, we tend to think this would be impossible or outrageous. And it's partially because of the mentality of the American people, their consumerism, their idea of entrepreneurship. And in reality, Biden and Trump are brands. They are presenting to the public, and they are marketed as such. Let's start with the idea of the American mentality. These two pictures I took last week. This is next to the place where I live, and these are two neighbors. These are side-by-side houses, and one of them has a Trump sign, the other one has a Biden sign on their fence. This is incredible. It's certainly the democratic quality in the US has declined, as in the rest of the world similarly. But even to this day, you can still see this display of political opinions in a civilized manner, in a way that would be surprising to us. So these are two neighbors, and there's lots of stories of people who are across the line, even in a time of polarization. But to understand the campaign, you need to understand that the American culture is competitive. So you will see a lot of stories about getting things done, success, achievement, the go-getter mentality. The American mentality is individualistic, so they will place a lot of emphasis on their personal achievements and things that the candidates have done themselves. They're pragmatic, meaning that they're really they are not as attached as party lines as we are in Europe. So some people will vote for specific issues. Some people will vote, and as you know, the American elections, you're not only voting for the president, you are also voting for Senate, House of Representatives, and lots of local propositions. And it's not rare for people to vote for different things, vote for local versus national versus statewide. Americans are direct in their communication, and they appreciate that. So their boldness in their campaigns is shocking in many ways. And they're also optimistic. So they are allergic to failure. And you're going to see this everywhere. You're going to see how they are spinning everything. Even the COVID-19 crisis, if you hear, and we had a good sample yesterday, we heard two representatives from two different political parties, and they both had a very different take on how the crisis were handled, but it was always on the optimistic side. So if you keep this mixture in mind, the next issue is the difficulty of the US electoral system. This is a 2016 map of election by counties. But as you know, and this is different from Europe, the electoral college in the US works in a very different way. So a state like California will give all the 56 delegates to only one party. So this map really becomes this map here. And this is really important because what it means, and you've seen this in the news, is there are some states where the candidates really have no business in campaigning. For instance, in my home state of California, it's a blue state. Democrats are going to take it for sure. Traditionally it's been that way. And Kamala Harris is Californian. So Trump really has no need of showing up in California and campaigning. Same as in other states such as Colorado or New York, or the other way around. Places like Oklahoma or even anything in the South, Georgia, Alabama. It's difficult for candidates to appeal, because it's kind of like an unfair system in a way, because the Democrats won the popular vote but did not win the electoral vote. So what this means is that the campaign is highly targeted, much more than in Europe. What this means is that the campaign basically concentrates on something that we call the flippable candidate. So they go specifically to the places where they know that people could switch their vote and have an impact. They will not waste their money. They will not waste their time going to states where they know things are decided. So you're going to see, especially in this last week, you're going to see Trump and Biden in places like Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, places where they might have some very interesting options to flip people and to get them to vote differently. This is overall, if you look at the statistics of how people vote, you normally have a percentage of voters. And this year, we have record numbers of voters because of COVID-19. It is yet to be seen whether these votes will be mostly going to the Democratic candidate instead of the Republican. We'll have to see. But mostly overall, you can generalize and assume that about 40 to 45% of the candidates, actually about 40 to 45% of the voters will lean one way or another. So both political parties have some sort of like a regular base that will always vote Democrat or Republican. But as you see in the chart, the undecided vote is growing. So in 2016, and this is the latest information that we have about the election, there was almost 20% of voters who didn't know what to do 3 months before the election. And then on the election day, that was reduced to 12%, but that is still a lot of people who are going one way or another. And this is part of the uncertainty. So what the parties do in the US, and the parties in the US don't really exist apart from the election. They're not like in Europe, where they are big and they function and they have structures. They really only get together for the election. And what they basically do is they concentrate not on the 40 or 45% voters that they know, not on the states where they know they're going to win. They concentrate on this candidates. And that's where they target all their social media efforts. And they use all the tools that we've seen before and that we've learned in the lecture before, how to highly target specific people for a specific reason with specific issues. Of course, the other issue that is key in the United States, and it's very different from Europe, is the idea of fundraising. These are two screenshots from today. These are the candidates' official websites. If you go to donaldtrump.com or joebiden.com, the first thing you're going to see, not the issues, not the topics, not the nature of the candidate, not their ideas. You're going to see their need for fundraising. Because again, political parties do not have support from the state as they do in Europe. And they just need to raise their funds to sustain all the political campaigns. And there are limitations, of course. But basically, there's a lot of micro donations. If you, for instance, Joe Biden even includes donations with numbers. Their average donor is giving $45 along those lines. So there is a need to raise funds, to buy advertising space, and to put out the social media campaigns and the highly targeted campaigns. So most of the messages are not necessarily about the topics, but about the need for fundraising. If you compare them on social media, this is really interesting because Obama changed the game in 2008 with a new understanding of social media. But definitely Trump is sweeping Joe Biden in terms of at least reach. So this is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you look at, for instance, the difference between Biden and Trump on Twitter is amazing. And it's part of a new debate of whether a president should engage in Twitter as much as he does. But the reach is very high. Social media is a place where they are fighting the very, very interesting battle to reach out to these candidates. I wanted to mention briefly the brand values of each candidate. So, and I'm looking at them as if they were a brand, a product, or a service that we would market, that an advertising agency would put out in the market. Donald Trump has built an idea, an image based on the idea of crisis and chaos. He's survived many difficult situations with his business efforts. He represents himself as a tough candidate. Successful. That's another of the brand values that he will always play upon. Even the display of the Trump Tower, the idea of the golden person. It's a very American idea of the grandson of an immigrant from Germany who built an empire and is successful as an entrepreneur, businessman. It is a very if you ask the people who will vote for Trump, the idea of success is key. Leadership. And a certain aggressive style, very direct, say it as it is, no filters, no politically correct. He sees himself as an outsider to Washington, D.C. And he also sees Biden as an insider, which is true. He's been there all his life. Trump's strategy has always been a denial of failure. You will never, ever see him say, we made a mistake. It's always built on success. He is extremely savvy when it comes to the media usage. He knows exactly how television works, how media works, how social media works, and he's played to that extent. And he's built all of this through a television show called The Apprentice that has started about 15 years ago, where he's basically built an image of himself as a tough leader, sitting in kind of like a throne, making tough decisions. He was up until a number of years ago, he was known as a semi-eccentric, very wealthy businessman from New York who was a television star. His tagline was "You're fired." It was a competitive show that was built to present him as a person that will make decisions, that will not be afraid of making tough calls and be tough with the enemies of the country. That kind of image, and he's built it successfully for the last 10 years or so. Joe Biden is also a person marked by crisis, but in this case, it's not financial or business crisis; it's personal crisis. Joe Biden is. There was an article in the Washington Post yesterday claiming if I wanted a good neighbor, I would vote for Biden. If I wanted a good president, I would vote for Trump. He's seen as an insider in Washington. He's seen as a nice, decent man who has been resilient to personal crisis. He lost his wife, lost his son. He overcame stutter very early on. He's run 3 times for president, and he has something that the experts call the Obama halo. So for liberal voters, he's got the Obama touch. He's been blessed in a sense by his friendship with Obama, and he's an undecided candidate in many ways. And he, as we will see in the messages, he plays the familiar, down-to-earth kind of a candidate, more friendly for sure than Trump. The candidate, the tone of the candidates, Trump, of course, he sees himself as presidential. He is a leader. He's serious. He's all about business. He is aggressive. He's very direct. This is how he got the nomination from the Republican Party. He knocked all the other candidates down. He is certainly impulsive, and these are all. This is his brand value before he was president, so he has not really changed much. There are insiders now that are saying that maybe, and I think we heard this yesterday too from Juan Verde, that if he loses the election, he might run again in 4 years. But the tone is aggressive and the tone is tough and is executive. This is a person that has to make difficult calls, and he's not afraid of making such calls. And the tone for Joe Biden is more informal, is more familiar, is more relatable. If you watch the debates, especially the last one, he kept saying, "Oh, come on," as an expression of his frustration with Trump. He presents himself as a Joe and Kamala, more familiar. I'm with Joe. That was part of a campaign. By the way, Joe in English is also the typical name when you just want to say it like a regular name. So an average Joe. He is undecided in many issues, and Trump attacks him on that flank. And he is corporate DC. He's been in Washington DC for all his life. He's an insider, and that's part of his value. That's part of his tone, that he's able to reach across the aisle to, in his case, more moderate Republicans. The messages of this campaign are very clear. Trump is all about economic recovery, the idea of strength, patriotism, no fear of COVID-19. You saw a couple of weeks ago when he was in the hospital and he was released from the hospital. He's got a message of reopening the economy. It's complex because a lot of the economy is connected to local states. So the message here is, if the states were Republican, they would reopen, but if they're Democrat, they want to shut down. He certainly has a ton of warning against Joe Biden, and mostly about Kamala Harris, because this is a generalization, but Kamala Harris tends to be more on the left side of things, more than Joe Biden. So he presents her more as an extremist. He is very tough on Antifa, the left-wing groups, the Black Lives Matter. He's very direct in that sense. Well, Biden has built a message on unity, a profound and a very clear disregard and personal dislike of Trump. These two candidates, they're not very civil, and this is part of the world we live in, where we are just over polarized. He builds on unity, on diversity, Black Lives Matter. He's had an interesting career with the African American community before this. He touches on all the classic, more liberal topics such as the environment. He appeals to the idea of the soul of a nation. A couple of weeks ago, he was in Gettysburg, one of the battlefields of the American Civil War, appealing to the soul of the nation, appealing directly to Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican candidate, by the way. And they also have a very, very interesting push on the registration to vote. As you know, in the US, it's not like in Europe where you are registered and you basically show up to the place they tell you. You have to register, and that keeps lots of voters. There's lots of questions. And there are many, many, many campaigns. If you were to watch any professional sport game in the US in this couple of weeks, you would see registration to vote rallies, people trying to get, even from companies like Spotify or Apple, Google, they're all pushing for people to register to vote because they expect a big turnaround. And clearly, this is a topic that will benefit the younger generations. And what the polls are saying is that those younger voters will be more leaning towards the Democrats. So of course, they have an interest in pushing this particular campaign and this particular message. When you analyze their communication, you also see that there are a lot of shared values and symbols in both parties. And this is really interesting. I'm going to show you quickly. These are screenshots from their websites. And you will see how the candidates tend to repeat the same structures. So you have a slogan that will use as a hashtag. In this case, it's the battle of the soul of a nation. And remember that Biden has well, the Republicans are more unified behind Trump. Biden has had to deal with more of a less unified left-wing kind of a side of the political spectrum. So the battle of the soul of the nation, it remarks the idea of unity, diversity. It embraces the Black Lives Matter movement. It embraces all the protests and all the social tension that the country is going through. Of course, they do have a logo, you know that for sure. Of course, the colors, red, white, and blue are everywhere. They present themselves as patriotic. So even to a foreigner's eye, this display of patriotism and national symbols, it's very interesting because it goes both ways. It really is displayed equally on both parties. And they have a lot of emphasis on donations. So if you go to the website, as I showed you before, the website right now will be, let's get Trump out of the White House. donate button. This is Donald Trump's website. And of course, this is studied to the, in detail. So you do have the logo, Trump and Pence, Make America Great Again was a phenomenal logo that took the world by storm 4 years ago. And he's built a whole campaign based on that. Their slogan is "Together we're rebuilding our nation." So again, positive, optimistic. There's no mention of, and this is really interesting, by the way, because normally what the incumbent president is seen, this is seen some sort of like a referendum of his politics and his last 4 years. And Trump has turned that around, and he is basically making the case, and he did this in the debate, of what did Biden do the 8 years that he was vice president. So he seems himself as very tough. Look at him. He is, he's doing the military salute, very serious, very presidential. He's very aware of his presence and his image. And look at the contribute. The donation buttons are everywhere, and they even have a shop. I'm going to show you the shop because this is also something that is shocking, and it ties well with the idea of this is just another brand that you can wear on a T-shirt or on a hat. These are some examples. You can have a signed football if you contribute. This is a regular technique that most nonprofits, for instance, would use in the US when you donate. Or together we will beat Donald Trump. And these are the donations that you can make. Notice the American flag in the background of Harris and Biden. Notice the masks. Those things are not left to a coincidence. Those things are very, very intentional. And then at the bottom, you can see one of the Trump rallies, merchandise in stores. There are even stores that sell Trump stuff. So he's made himself an icon. He knows it, and he's very, very aware of his image, and he plays with it. The hair, the color of his skin. He knows it. He knows it well. But it is really relating to the and connecting to his audience. So in that sense, it's a very very smart move. American politics. They include a lot of very, very direct messages and things that could be shocking. This is an official video from Trump's official YouTube channel, and I just wanted to play it for you, just so also that you understand the difference and this idea of politics as a show. That it's very, very clear in the elections. Let me see if this plays well.
Everybody say M-A-G-A, M-A-G-A. Black, white, and brown from every city and town. We don't let haters keep us down. Everybody say M-A-G-A.
Come on, man.
M-A-G-A. Let them hear our voice, all you girls and boys. Stand up and make some noise. M-A-G-A.
So there you have it. This is an official video where he is making fun of his rivals. You saw Hillary Clinton stumbling. You saw Joe Biden, including the common man that he was so famous for in the debates. This is a very common way to communicate here. This might be shocking. I think this will be difficult to put out in Europe in general, but in the US, it's seen as a tough, direct, kind of like competitive message. They have no issues with a message as direct as this one. There are lots of what we call negative ads. They've been a little bit softer this campaign because of Trump's COVID-19 situation, where the Democrats suspended their negative ads. But if you just do a search, you will see a lot of options. And remember, in Europe, we tend to think this is just Trump versus Pence, but every state in the U.S. has senators and representatives that are up for grabs in these elections. So you will see a lot of negative ads and highlighting the negative aspects of the candidates, highlighting the failures of the campaign, installing fear in people. It's very important. This is what they will do. Let me show you also this. This is again from the official website. So you can go up to the website, and this might seem eccentric, but it is everywhere. I only have a screenshot, but I guarantee there's about 100 different products with the Trump and Pence and Make America Great Again signs. You can buy them, and this is even if you go to Amazon, you can buy Trump and Biden merchandise and memorabilia. This is everywhere, and again, it's highly developed. It's sold on their political rallies. It's sold on their website. It's used as a way to raise some funds and some income. This is Biden and Harris. So I do want to make the case that despite of what you think of their political content, the way in which they run the campaigns is pretty much the same. There's no difference in terms of the way they understand the market, the way they understand their constituencies, the way in which they understand the language that they need to speak, the key messages, and in this case, the visual representation. So, of course, the design might be different. The design might be more leaning towards one spectrum or the other. But the fact is the same. They do need to market themselves. The American public will expect to have all these options because they will engage in this sort of merchandising. In a sense, it's no different than a football team or a basketball team where you can buy different gear to show your colors, and that is something that's relatively frequent. And then in the 9 years I've lived in the U.S., it's certainly deteriorated. The political climate has not been as healthy as it used to be, for sure, and that's happening everywhere. There's polarization, there's tension, but even in my classes at the university, it's very frequent to see people wearing Biden or Trump merchandising in the classroom, and it seems to be, and that's fine. This is, to me, as a Spaniard, this is shocking, because in Spain you will rarely ever display your colors in that blunt sense. So I hope that this has given you a little bit of an overview of some of the inside thoughts on the campaign and some of the key issues and the values. The U.S. is a complex society, and it's much more intriguing and layered than we sometimes make of it. When you think about the way in which the elections are reported from Europe, they do miss some of these key issues. Sometimes it's not as simplistic. It's not as binary in a sense. But I wanted to end with a video of something that is happening, because if most of us are kind of like a little concerned with the state of our political discourse worldwide. This is a campaign for a Utah governor, and you're going to see the two candidates. And I just wanted to leave you with this video of a little bit of hope of how things can be different in a political campaign. Let me play this for you.
I'm Spencer Cox, your Republican candidate for Utah governor.
And I'm Chris Peterson, your Democratic candidate for governor.
We are currently in the final days of campaigning against each other.
But our common values transcend our political differences, and the strength of our nation rests on our ability to see that.
We are both equally dedicated to the American values of democracy, liberty, and justice for all people.
We just have different opinions on how to achieve those ideals.
But today, we are setting aside those differences to deliver a message that is critical for the health of our nation.
That whether you vote by mail or in person, we will fully support the results of the upcoming presidential election, regardless of the outcome.
Although we sit on different sides of the aisle, we are both committed to American civility and a peaceful transition of power.
And we hope Utah will be an example to the nation.
Because that is what our country is built on.
Please stand with us on behalf of our great state and nation.
My name's Spencer Cox.
And I'm Chris Peterson.
And we approve this message.
So as you see, some of the values that I mentioned earlier on my presentation are here. This idea of optimism, this idea of unity, the way in which things can be done a little differently. It's seen in this video. This is gathering a lot of attention, at least local attention, because there are different elections and things can be hopefully different. And with this, I'll just basically say thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for organizing this conference. It's been great. I hope that this was helpful and that you pay attention to the next week. And hopefully these insights will have help you have a better idea and better understanding of what's going to happen next week. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, Ismael. It has been a very interesting and in-depth analysis of both candidates. And of course, we will be looking at the results and see who wins in this campaign. No? So thank you very much. I expect to see you very soon here in Madrid.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully. Thank you. Bye.
Now we've got our third guest, who is Antonio Ramos. He is an ethical hacker. He is a writer and expert in cyber intelligence and cyber espionage. He is a postgraduate and master lecturer in cyber security and system hacking at Universidad Complutense in Madrid, Alfonso X University, and Universidad Rey Juan Carlos, among others. He has published more than 13 books, and he is the founder of a brand called Mundo Hacker. He is an advisor to the Ministry of Defense in issues related to cyber intelligence and cyber espionage. He has also worked as an international advisor for the Organization of American States in national cybersecurity plans. He has been awarded with the White Medal to Police Merit in Spain and has trained the Spanish hacker official selection for the European Championship, the European Cybersecurity Challenge, held in Germany in 2016 and Spain in 2017. In both occasions, they got the gold medal. His talk today is Post-Truth, Misinformation, Fake News in the Electoral Campaigns. Good afternoon, Antonio.
Good afternoon, Maribel. A pleasure being here. What I'm gonna do is to share my screen, for the people. Let me take it. This is the whole screen presentation. We'll use this one. Okay, now you see okay, perfect. Let me see. Here we are. Okay, we're fine. We're ready to start for rock and roll. Okay, we got let me see. Not much time, but we're gonna talk. I hope you enjoy, but we're gonna talk, in this case, it's gonna be like fake news, misinformation, and post-truth in electoral campaigns. And I also call it the big digital short in politics. If we saw the movie, the big short about the subprime crisis, you will understand this, because we can get some relation, among my speech. Then this is about Antonio Ramos. What I'm not, okay? I'm not a television presenter. Maybe you saw me in Discovery Channel, in different series, whatever. I'm not a television presenter. I'm not a technology journalist. Yeah, sometimes from time to time, I write down like articles, gathering information with a specialist, but I'm not a writer. Even I thought I wrote, books about hacking and network securities. Of course, I'm not a cyber criminal. That's important. I'm not a cybersecurity specialist, because I don't like that term. What I am a professional hacker. I lead a group of international hackers all over the world, and we hack things to make the digital life of citizens and organizations safer. That's important. Remember this: Google, JP Morgan, banks, telcos, they hire hackers. I mean, to protect the information that we manage in a world what right now it's globally data. Okay, then let's go to the main goals that we're gonna see in this presentation. First, fake news is nothing new, but we had to talk like a couple minutes, but how and why they work so well, important. Then misinformation or disinformation, how to produce it, how to produce information which is wrong, tricky, okay? The post-truth, we live in the post-truth era in this 21st century. They can't be that we are expecting, because me, you, all of us, we're expecting this, okay? But when we have the puzzle, we have the pieces, okay? We had to know how to manipulate people's opinion, okay? And then we will know information production centers, IPCs, okay? Maybe this one is gonna be new for you, but it's used right now. We're talking, it's been used like 10 years ago, okay? And at the end of everything, we have to understand who could be interested in these services, who could be interested to manipulate people, to stay forever in power, no? Who could be, okay? And we will see it. Then, but the important thing that I want you to learn in this meeting is that everything that we're gonna talk, doesn't have a full meaning if we are not able to interconnect the digital society that we have right now, the industry that produces it, okay, the science and engineering in it, okay, data science, statistics, advanced math models, okay, the economy. Also, don't forget geopolitics. Okay, this is not only playing in Facebook. This is not playing in Twitter, Instagram, or whatever social network that you use. I don't use anyone. Okay, I'm not in anyone. Then, I mean, you try to find me, go to Maribel, and she will find me. Okay. Then let's go to the easy part: fake news. Okay, we can understand fake news as a well-structured lies so that they appear real to the receptor. Who's going to be in this case the receptor? Citizens, me, you, everybody who's connected using these social medias. Today, in these days, this is for a long time ago. Okay, we have like a fake news all over the history. Okay, but they have become popular this day due the capacity of the digital media, social networks, where they have found a perfect environment for the transmission. There is nothing new. Here I got like 4 easy examples, but the important thing is not the example. We have millions of fake news, okay? But we had to figure out what they have in common, okay? Remember, the Great Fire in Rome, talking about, like 64 year of our era, okay? The medium of diffusion was public, face-to-face. People in Rome speaking, that the Christian people has, how do you say, provoke the fire, okay? Then we have this one, which is pretty funny. This one is funny, no? Talking about 1787, the story of a farmer about monkeys to collect hemp from their plantations. This guy was really famous, Joseph Mulatan. Imagine that using like a small farm papers was even published by the New York Times. Okay, we have a media, we have a medium to spread the fake news. Okay, and he was like jumping, getting like power till New York Times by that time. Imagine that time the New York Times was the huge one. Okay, we have like always Orson Welles. Okay, the world of the worlds. Okay, the broadcast medium was the radio, the medium that we had by that time. And talking about the 2003 weapons of mass destruction, Second Gulf War. Okay, the broadcast medium was TV, but we have the medium. But what else we have in common? To make successful a fake news, there are two main things, and the third one is complicated. Okay. Amplification, okay? You need a medium of diffusion that allow the amplification and the rapid transmission of the message. Because I can generate a fake news, but if I don't have the media, I cannot put it online like this. It's not gonna work. Then amplification, okay? We had to be able to propagate to the largest number of individuals after we generate the fake news. We in the past, the methods of arrival were massive, like radio, newspapers, but not as massive as social networks today. We're talking about like millions, a million of users, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, including Telegram, WhatsApp, that we call also then a social network these days, okay? Rapid transmission, we had to be rushed. We gotta be fast, okay? In this case, it's natural for the social networks because they are quasi-automatic. There is a quasi-automatic transmission of the message generated. I mean, I have the amplification that the social networks gave me, and we have also the rapid transmission. Okay, we can be right now in Asia, like 2 seconds after I click on the button. Okay, and there is the third one, which sometimes is confused. The source that spreads the fake news. The source. This is because it's sometimes who's the source? Because the source gonna be like trustable. Okay, in the past, in the case of the radio, the newspapers, the TV set, for us, they are like trustable. Okay, we're talking about Fox, CNN International, whatever. It's the TV, no, like my parents used to say. If the TV said it's true, I remember that, you know. But in this case, who's the agent that provides the veracity of the content? The network, the platform in itself, okay? Then to have like a successful fake news, we have to be trustable in some way. We have to have amplification, and we gotta be rushed like this. We have all the elements to spread a news, a correct news, a good news, and also like a toxic news or fake news, okay? And now we go to misinformation or disinformation. Here there is a concept that I want to share with you, which is called the problem of the information overload. Okay, until many years in the past, people and governments used to pay for information, like secret services, agencies, television, newspapers. Now we have plenty of information and it's free. It's there. You cannot evaluate it because my information for what, and we will see it for what. Okay, but the information is out there waiting for us. Is in internet, and of course it is in social networks. Then there is a writer. It's a book in 1970 called A Future Shock, and he defines, we're talking about like 40 years ago, which is going to be the information overload. Information overload occurs when the amount of input to a system exceeds his processing capacity, and we are human. We are no machines. We can also overload machines, you know, but it's easier to overload a human because I mean, we are limited because we are humans, okay? The decision maker has a limited cognitive processing capacity because we are persons. We can produce, analyze things, but a bunch of things, I mean, it's gonna be like difficult. Consequently, when information overload occurs, a reduction of the quality of the decision is likely to occur. It's likely because you cannot proceed all that kind of information. This is important for the misinformation campaigns, okay? Because you receive so much information using a super method, a platform, in a moment that we will see which is the proper moment, and then you're gonna have like a wrong decision about the information that you're receiving, and at the end you're gonna trust it, which is worse. Okay, now more things about misinformation. Non-verification of the news. Non-verification. Who verifies the information that we receive? The message is only generated and propagate. It's like that. We don't have like in the radio, in the conventional medias, they have like a newsroom where there is a verification of the source, of the content. I mean, they analyze that they are not spreading something. I mean, they can change the meaning, you know, it depends which kind of media you work, but I mean, but they contract the information. But in social networks, it's not like that. No verification of the news, you know. The user of social network is a consumer who generally doesn't have an objective criteria. We cannot say that we are stupid, okay? But normally we're talking about millions of people, okay? And there is something called education. Not all the people have the same education or level of education. Here we are people that we work in universities, that we gather with people, you know, intellectuals, you know. There is a documentary on TV called The Power of the Words. Pretty good one. I recommend it. It's in French, but you can find it in Spanish or in English, you know, The Power of the Words, okay? You're gonna like it, but it's related that imagine this situation, maybe because we've been like well-educated, we can manage like 3,000 words in daily, okay? And there are people who's able to manage 5,000 words, but there are people who manage 1,500 words to survive day by day. Even you could survive with 250. Yeah, imagine this situation. If I were in France, maybe with 250 words, I would be able to manage. To survive. Then this means that not everybody has the objective criteria to analyze information, because we are millions of people's education. Okay, and they play with this, with the level, education level of people. Okay, for the misinformation. And the right now place is like is one of the goals. Place always in favor of a manipulate news. You might be shopping in a supermarket with many things in your head, like here, no? And something appears that you're, I don't know, maybe you're buying it, you're in Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. I remember that when I was used to live in the States, you know. But I mean, you have a lot of things in your mind, but something appears in your device, you know. That is not correct. This reception doesn't occurs within a context of analysis of that information. For example, when I sit down, no, like quietly watching the news at home in my couch, you know, we are in the moment of watching news. We can confirm using another channels. It's been a bomb in Lebanon. Okay, but you can change zapping, you know, for a while. It's true. I mean, it's been a bomb in Lebanon. Okay. And the thing, you can go to a digital newspaper, radio, whatever. I mean, the user concentration at that moment is on watching news. Right now, we're watching news. But right now, with social networks, doesn't occur. Okay, then let's go more things about misinformation. The belief in the source, the belief in the friend. How my friend is gonna be lying to me? He's my friend. I mean, we go together to the barbecue. I know him. He cannot be wrong. You know, I mean, he sent it to me. I mean, to share it, but he lacks of filtering and contrast methods, like the receiver, me, like the receiver. I mean, but we trust about the friends. Our friend, oh, look at Antonio, look at this one. It's incredible. They are hiding something to the citizens. We believe in the friend. And then we have intoxication of information. If we plus the above factors, okay, then we can manage in a simple way to generate like intoxicated information, alternate, putting out of context, or simply inventing it. You know, that is the fake news. Simply, we have only the simple of inventing a fake news. And imagine this, that if we're successful, we're gonna punch right on the nose, you know, thousands or millions of people. As I told you, like this, okay? And now we have the post-truth. Okay, verified objective information is beginning to have no place in the 20th century, 21st century. You know, this is what I said at the beginning is the post-truth era. Why we don't want to have like objective information? I mean, there are a lot of studies about this, and maybe the post-truth has the right answer. The user normally in social networks, they don't care about the quality of the information. They don't care about the quality of information because we have a lot of factors that we plus them and make it like normal. I mean, I receive in using Facebook or Instagram or whatever, it gotta be like true. Okay, then what is the post-truth? Is when objective facts are less decisive than the appeal to the emotion or personal beliefs in something, the public opinion. People want to trust their own truth. Okay, and this is, of course, I mean, the flat earthers. Of course, the earth is flat. I saw every time that I go in the highway, I see that the earth is flat because it's flat. Okay. They've been hiding this for me. Or the Martians. The Martians, they are among us. I knew it. The NASA, it's been, hiding all this information for years. The Martians, because I want to believe something different, something like not real, but real for me, because I want to trust, like that there is like a big conspiration, and I knew it, and now they're giving me the right that I was right, okay, and don't forget that we are all lazy people by nature, like humans. We don't to be like a strain, okay? We wish to hear we wanted to hear, or our truth. That's the reason, because the post-truth is working so well, because it's easy to use it, okay? How do you say? Then, of course, then in this place, the social media has found his potential to manipulate or confuse users' opinion. The users that we're talking about, million people, more than a newspaper, more than TV set or TV programs, okay? All this is going to reinforce by the amount of information that we are going to have from individuals without them being aware. Okay, what you telling me, Antonio? That you have information about individuals without them being aware? Yeah, we're gonna have millions of data about you. We have like different points about you. What's the color of your hair, where you live, your education level, your education level, your friends, what you're talking about. We can proceed what you're writing on your wall using like techniques, a method like natural language process. I mean, and you don't know it, and you don't know it that is happening. You remember the movies, when the FBI or the secret services, they have a letter, from the bad guy, and only reading a letter, they could say he gonna be like among 40, 45, he from Texas, South America, how do you say, white guy, and they were reading only well educated, only reading only one letter. Imagine how much you write down in WhatsApp. How much you write down in WhatsApp? They know everything about you because they can they can analyze all that information. Same thing happens in Twitter. Same thing happens any kind of social network. We write a lot, and then we can analyze that information and profile you perfectly. Okay, and let me see about the information. Then, now that I have a lot of information about me, you, and all of us, okay, and we don't know that they have this information, then we have what we call the information production centers, the IPCs, okay? But understanding what it is, an information production center. In the past here in new technologies is only 10 years. It's not like 200 years ago. It's only 10 years. In the past, they were called like troll centers. Like a lot of people, using because they like this guy. I mean, to push in the political career, using the networks. That was a troll center. It was not sophisticated, but it was the beginning. Right now, an information production center, the evolution of a troll center is an operational architecture. I mean, it's like a real company. I mean, a center like this have like many departments that interact with each other and only follow one vision: to obtain an objective effect on information to the consumers. I mean, to analyze all the departments they're gonna work. I mean, to produce an effect on information to the consumers. And mainly they base this, I mean, using like OSINT, open source intelligent, using open source info. As I told you, everything is out there, is in internet, okay? Such as social networks, because maybe you're in a blog, but it's only one blog. But if you have a life in different social networks, we have more and more information about you. then we can profile you like perfectly, okay? But we're using information that you're giving friendly and freely, in a free way, okay? Then IPC will be like a company dedicated to the generation of intelligence, generate intelligence through the monitoring, classification, and advanced analysis of data, statistics and math, data science, big data applications. I mean, we compose everything using science, in this case, computing and normally like math science, okay? At the same time, use that intelligence that we produce in the information production center for the decision making, and we will execute actions on the network based on the decisions made. This sounds complicated, but it's not. It's like that you have like an entrepreneur company, okay, with different departments. Let's go and see the areas that make up an IPC. Important areas: data analysis department. Here we use the math, the big data, the data science. Then here we profile you perfectly. Million and million of people. We know everything. What you wish, what you don't like, how many kids you have, if you're a family guy, if you're a gamer, if you're a compulsive buyer, okay? And then there is another one, super important, the effective communication department, because all this data in math, in computation, we need people to generate like effective communication. We need psychology, we need like neuro experts, we need reporters, communication experts. Going back to the power of the words, the documentary that I told you, because they had to prepare, to modulate the messages that we're gonna spread to some targets. Maybe it could be like white people, Latin people, black people, whatever, okay? These ones are super important, but don't forget that we have the content production department, the digital formats, using like neuromarketing. Coca-Cola used neuromarketing for years, and a lot of brands, you know. Every time that I think in Coca-Cola, you know, in this moment I have, you know, like a cold cola, you know, drinking it and waiting for the Christmas time or in summertime, because they use methods, I mean, to impact us. Then we had to produce that context, the colors, the pictures, the letters, that is not equal red than green than blue, and we had to produce all these things to spread it, you know, into the networks and to hit you in your mind, in your brain, in your reptile instincts. Okay, we have also account manager departments, creation accounts departments, people who's in charge of the social networks. We have also the legal department, the legal department, because sometimes, I mean, I'm trespassing the law and on the edge, yeah, because sometimes from time to time these centers they pass it, but I mean, but you need the legal department, because sometimes you are on the edge, okay? Then you have to have an advisor. And there is one that is not gonna talk about it, but it's really important. But the name is like dangerous, right? E-care warfare department. E-care warfare department, okay? Imagine that we can have all these departments working together with a specialist preparing like I don't know, like a propaganda, like a fake news, like a way to impact in a massive way with a news or information. We merge all, and then we have this. We have thousands of people that I know everything. Each point here, it's an individual, and I have a lot of like objects about this individual that I can analyze. And this is only with the information that we have in social networks. Then we start analyzing and we can create, like trends, what they're talking about, who's happy, who's not happy, who likes this or that candidate or that brand or whatever. We can analyze using, as I told you, like natural language process where they're speaking, and then we can prepare everything, for the next department to take action into the social networks, and then to start like changing the reality, changing, because we know what you know without you knowing. Better, we know what you wish without you knowing that we know it. And just going to the end. Yes, in this way, using information production, we modify opinions, we modify public opinions, and we could even modify electoral campaigns. And this is reality. This is the 21st century. To finish, who could be interested in changing the opinion of the great masses? Who? Which one are the actors in politics? Who would not like to be forever in power? Who? Me. Okay, no, not me. But we're not talking about political propaganda. We are talking about giving people what they want to hear without them knowing it. To control people, you have to make them happy and to give the appropriate message that they need in that town at that moment and that group of people. Then political parties, leaders in first person, or lobbyists can have a great interest in changing the opinion of masses. In the economy, large national or international economic conglomerates, lobbyists could see with great interest the power to produce changes of opinion in the masses. Geopolitics, as I told you at the beginning, countries has always faced each other on an international geopolitical board, where the important thing is to prevail or to extend influence with the consequent decrease in the role of power of the adversary, okay? Then states are great potential consumers of massive mind change services. And to finish, regime change. In this case, will be legal or non-legal organizations of different streams that can be used, the mass manipulation, the manipulation of opinion, a strategic tool to improve a new regime or generate a change in the existing one. Then this is my time. I hope you like it. John Lloyd, you enjoy. At this moment, I want to say gracias por vuestro tiempo. Remember, in God we trust, and happy hacking these days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Antonio, because you have offered a very interesting angle on the use and misuse of information and how this manipulation can be crucial in electoral processes. So now we are coming to the end of this session. We are grateful to Leticia Sánchez de Pablo, Ismael López Medel, and Antonio Ramos, these three experts who have helped us understand the strategies and processes underlying political elections. We are also grateful to the members of the American communities in Portugal, France, and Spain who have been following this event, as well as our alumni and students in our international degrees. Of course, thank you very much to the American Club for their cooperation. Universidad CEU San Pablo wishes to express its thankfulness to all of you for your interest, and we are looking forward to knowing the results of an electoral process which will undoubtedly have impact all over the world, whatever the result may be. Thank you very much for your attention.